Welcome to part 5. We just have a little bit more to finish up. The last section that we want to double check is we want to make sure that we're checking the formatting on our phone and email fields. We've obviously checked the required fields are correct, but let's check the formatting. And in order to do this, we use a PHP function called preg_match here. And what it does is it performs a regular expression match. And if you don't know all that much about regular expressions, you may want to look into that a little bit. Basically, they look like this. It's a long string of characters, and it looks probably a little bit like junk if you're not familiar with it. But what it does is it sets up a pattern that you can match variables against. And so let's dive into this, and I'll try to explain it as we go. So the first thing we want to check is I'm going to check for the phone number formatting. So if first thing I'm going to check is if our error message for phone, if that's blank. So what it's going to do is if the phone field is blank, if it doesn't have a value, we're going to go ahead and skip this because this will only be blank if the phone field has some element in it. So this is the error variable. So we're going to check first if that error is blank, and if so, there's something in that input box we want to check against the formatting. And like I said, we're going to use preg_match, and preg_match returns true if the pattern matches and false if it doesn't. So we want to use a not. And the first element within this function is the pattern that we're going to be matching. I'm going to leave that blank for a minute. And then the second item is our form element that we want to match, or the form element that we want to match the pattern to, let me put it that way. And we're going to be checking the phone. So if this returns false, we want to display an error message. And I'm just going to copy and paste this, might be a little bit faster. And we're going to ask them, please enter a valid phone number. There we go. And then again, we want to set the valid form variable to false. Okay, so that's about done. The last thing that we need to do for this section is we need to find that regular expression. And you'll actually find, if you go to form.php, that we're using a regular expression within the JavaScript. Regular expressions, if you're not all that familiar with them, they work on multiple languages. So in JavaScript, in PHP, in ASP.NET, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this. So I'm pulling this from my JavaScript, and I'm going to place it within my PHP, like so. Let's save it and preview and see how we're doing. So submit. Let me check this phone. Because this should be generating please fill in all required fields message. There we go. I'm sorry. Double equal sign typo on my part. Okay, there we go. So that's the way it should be. I'm going to go ahead and enter in some dummy information. And you'll notice it spots this as an invalid phone number. It's looking for this sort of format. So let's provide that and see what it gives us. And you'll notice we get a success message. So that means the pattern matched successfully and there were no issues. So with that done, last little bit that we need to do is we need to check the formatting of the email. And I can basically just copy and paste this. It's pretty much straightforward, and we just need to change this to email. And please enter a valid email. And the last thing we need to do is we need to change this regular expression. And I have a regular expression that I use when I need to check this sort of thing. If I remember correctly, I got it originally from this site, the regxlib.com. So let me go ahead and paste that in. Here we go. And again, as I said earlier, all this code is available in the project files zip that's included, so you can download that if you want to save yourself some typing. So let's go ahead and save this and preview and see what we've got. Okay, so it asks to fill in all required fields, which is good. And it looks like it's finding that this isn't a valid email. And let's input this. Perfect. So it looks like our form is validating correctly. To go back here again. So what we have set up here is we've set up a two-level system. It uses both JavaScript and PHP. So if I go back to my form, let me fix these links and refresh. And what we have now is we have a two-level system. First of all, it validates using JavaScript, and then after the form is submitted successfully, it just double checks and makes sure everything is valid using PHP. So this makes sure that even if JavaScript is disabled or something, potentially a malicious user could go in and change the JavaScript that you're using to validate, the PHP will catch it and make sure that only valid information is getting in. That wraps up today's tutorial. Thanks for listening. I've tried to explain this as clearly as I can, but if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact me. The email is ben@killersites.com, or I go by the username Falcon Creative on the Killer Sites community. Thanks again.